All the homeless people should go to jail. We should have military in all our cities in the top 10 homicide list, and that's going to make a better America long term in the future.
No, that's not what I said, but if that's your pitch, I'm open to hearing it.
Because I feel like it's okay that DC is bad, so it's okay if we do it just this once. But what we know with all government intervention, just this once doesn't mean just this once. It means precedent to be doing other.
What's this?
Putting military in a city to clean it up, quote unquote.
Okay.
And then prisons are not actually about rehabilitation or actually helping people. It's about the 13th Amendment and slave labor. So then it becomes, okay, now the people who can't afford to get on the property ladder, the people who can't afford to actually not be homeless. Now, of course, the people who are mentally helped and the people who just want to do drugs, they should go into jail. Then just let them sit there and rot there, and then they can make license plates all day.
Do you actually believe that?
If they don't want to get better, then America's not going to do anything for them, so throw them in jail, right?
Put forward the policy you actually want to see.
The policy I want to see is never going to happen. Because
that's okay.
DC,
at least this will help me map like what you want to see. I want to abolish the Fed. Probably not going to happen. But nonetheless, I'm going to bang that drum from a physics standpoint so people understand why I say that. So walk me through, because you are I think, very well-intentioned person. You're smart. So if you see something that people don't see and you can backtrack to like, this is why I think this will actually make things better, at a minimum, we can plant the seed in the minds of the future generation, and maybe we don't get to sit in the shade of the tree that we plant, but maybe we can plant it.
Okay. Why the militarization of DC won't become better. Trump is doing this because he's constructing a new ballroom and he wants to have a big party on July 4th of next year. So the reason to do that, the same way that they cleaned up San Francisco overnight when Xi Jinping was coming to visit, is because it's selfish intention. So this is not about crime. This is not about helping people. This is not about forcing the homeless to get treatment or living a better life. It's so that way when people come, they can see Trump's new gold ballroom look good as they have a UFC event on the White House lawn. As soon as the party's done and the festivities rolled up, those people are all going to leave. And the thing that has stopped crime, which isn't actually prevention of the first order consequences, it's just let's put a bunch of military people here so that you have to go underground with your crime. So yeah, there won't be a lot of carjacking. You're absolutely right. But those people still don't have opportunities. They still don't have a way to get ahead. They still don't have a way to better their lives. So they're just going to do crime differently. As we're having this conversation and we're throwing around stats and things like that, it's just, to me, a big pipeline into the prison complex. Like, we're gonna go into a bunch of homeless shelters. Trump, look at how they're treating ICE people. Look how they're doing detainments. I don't think that Trump is gonna lead this policy with a bunch of empathy into these cities. So he's not gonna go into DC and say, hey, homeless person, are you doing okay? He's gonna spray him with a hose. They're not gonna get up. He's gonna throw him in the back of a paddy wagon. So this whole, like, we're trying to give them treatment and we're trying to clean it up and we want to help our people. No, you don't. Somebody you knew got attacked, so now it's your problem. But you didn't care about DC before. You didn't care about DC the last time you lived there for 4 years. And you only care about it now because you're building a nice ballroom and you want to have a party next year.
Pushback on that would be, one, none of that was policy. And so this is where I worry about people put their finger on the right thing. Like, when I hear you get emotive about, like, man, this is just a feeder into the prison industrial complex. People are just going to do crime differently. I'm like, yeah, that all makes sense. And then I'm like holding my breath for it's where it's like, okay, but now actually do this thing.
Okay, policy would be increase funding to community centers, increase funding to education, so that way they can have after school programs, before school programs, lunch meals before school, after school programs, things like that.
Because you said, like, make education better, I would be with you. But when you say spend more money, we spend more money than anybody else in the world per student, and we get like the worst.
I'm telling you specifically where to spend more money. Before and after school programs.
Okay.
Community centers.
But didn't you say education?
Those are all around education. You have to give them to the schools because they provide them before and after school.
We already spend an insane amount of money on schools. Why hasn't paying more gotten us better results?
Because they haven't been spending it on before school programs, after school programs.
Okay, so if you spend it on the school itself, it doesn't work because you don't have.
That's the same way spending it on taxes. When we spend it on taxes, we're not spending it on local infrastructure. We're spending it on Israel's
right
weapons.
Now we've spent more and more and more per student, it hasn't worked. Your hypothesis is, but if you now started funding before and after as well, you'd suddenly reap the benefits of the funds that you've been putting into.
So the $12,000 that we pay per student goes into a coffin that goes into the Department of Education.
Goes into a coffin?
Yes, into the Department of Education for whatever that municipality is.
I think you mean coffer, or you're making like the greatest.
It's dead, like it's dead money. It's just going into a black hole. It's going into a black hole.
Got it. Okay. So we're just wasting the money.
We're wasting the money
because we don't have before and after.
Because we don't have before and after school that are subsidized. We don't have school lunches. There was a whole big thing in Texas. So let me walk through the physics of that. What you're saying is that the students aren't able to learn because they're getting sucked into crime, gangs. Never said that.
Like, so I'm trying to guess, what is it about the after school I really don't understand the before school one. So let's start with the after school one.
Okay.
The after school one cements what you learned during the day. Like, what are we?
The problem with poverty is that you have to spend more and more of your time to allocate to get resources. So when you have to spend more and more of your time to get resources, you don't have that time to sit with your kid and read them stories. You don't have time to tuck them in. So when a kid has no following, has no community, and is just wandering the streets, they are then susceptible to be recruiting by gangs to do nefarious things.
When I said that, though, you said no.
Because I'm going to actually walk it too. So it's not necessarily that you need to go to after school programs.
Only that.
You don't need to go to after school programs so that way you can cement what you learned in education. You need to go before and after school programs so that way I can get out of this neighborhood if I'm on the path to getting recruited by a gang. If I am only allowed to be in school from 8 to 2, and after that time from 2 to 9 before my mom gets home, and before 7 to 8 before I have to go to school, I have to avoid talking to these people, avoid going on these blocks. It's another instance for me to be recruited into a bad situation.
Okay, so the before and after is about keeping them out of bad influence.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. If we can keep them out of trouble, they'll be able to do something with what they're learning. And you and I think, both agree that poverty is more than anything, it is an ideas problem. Like, you just have bad ideas. You don't understand assets being one of the
100%.
many ideas that you're not encountering. Keeping the kids out of trouble. And then there needs to be a fundamental change in the things that we actually teach kids. I don't think we're teaching them how to navigate the current world well.
But then we'll be harder to control time if we knew that our finances and the Fed is the real problem.
I hope that's what ends up coming of it.
The bankers can't give us predatory mortgages.
Good.
We can't. Like,
praise Jesus. Let's go.
We won't take out bad student loans if we know how money works.
I get why people aren't going to do it. But going back to the idea that we're in a fight for the soul of America, I want whatever's true. And I don't care how inconvenient that might be to power structures, but we do have to figure out how to actually get this into culture would be, I think, the strongest thing. If we can't get people to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand, follow the physics. Like, how does this stuff work? So that we can get people into a position where they can get the education that will actually be high utility for them in the real world, so that we can get to the point where people aren't getting sucked into gangs and other bad places. When I was back at Quest, I actually had parents work for me that were putting their kids in bathtubs to avoid stray bullets. I know that thing is very real. Getting crime solved as well as much as you can. It is never going to be zero, and there is a point at which the solution becomes worse than the problem. Getting that under control as well, I think, is a huge thing. And then I don't think people understand how people are not going to invest in a neighborhood where crime is rampant. You're going to end up with the food deserts, and you're going to end up with a dearth of places to go work and all of that, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're looking at that neighborhood and you're like, yeah, no, if building here or owning the restaurant here means that I'm the tutorial for people to learn how to rob, like, no thanks.
Crime is a funnel. There aren't many rich, privileged people who sleep in warm beds who say, okay, now I'm going to go rob somebody. They just, bankers, but
I was going to say,
but
they do it in a different way.
If you are worried about carjacking and you're worried about this, if a young 17-year-old had to steal something from me, what happened to them when they were 7? I don't know. They're just a bad apple and we just have to lock them up. Cool. Then let's just close our eyes, and another 17 years, another one would pop up, and then another one. They just think that
you have to do both, though.
They think that these people are just like falling from the sky.
Probably, and that's terrible and stupid, and they will forever be confused. This is where I'm like, man, I really want people to hear me. I probably have to change the language, but this is really how I feel. Give up on adults. Stop trying to re-educate adults, and recognize that instead of spending your entire life treating cancer, figure out why people get cancer in the first place and address that.